Welcome to Gaining the Technology Leadership Edge, a podcast for tech executives. We provide strategies and tactics to help executives succeed and further their career goals. With interviews from industry experts, leaders, and innovators, this show will surely get you on the edge of your seat with thought-provoking advice on how to stay ahead of the competition. Welcome back to Gaining the Technology Leadership Edge, a podcast exploring the latest trends, strategies, and insights in technology leadership. We'll discuss the most important topics and ideas shaping the industry today, from emerging technologies to digital transformation and beyond. Join us to learn all the juicy secrets of tech leaders, their biggest successes and failures on our quest for gaining that all-important technology edge. Are you ready? Let's get started. Our guest today is Peter Heyer. Peter is an elite certified recruiting expert with 25 plus years of experience, helping companies find AI, ML, and IT talent that is not looking for your company. And I love that phrase. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. It's good to be on, good to chat.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. But so tell me about this, finding talent that's not looking for your company, because I love that statement.
Well, when you take a look at, and the reason that I got out of Fortune 100 type companies in recruiting was that it was very, very cookie cutter. It was, you have a skill, you come develop, have a nice day. We don't really care about you, but we know we need, 100 developers to get this thing out the door. So have a nice day. So the individual got lost, and to focus on that topic, not finding the companies, the candidates who are not finding your company, with the big mass layoffs that all started this year with the big five, the FANG group, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, all of those. All of the companies now think, well, great, there's all this tech talent out there, and I'll just go scoop them up. See, but they don't want that. The tech talent wants to go to the next cool thing. And how are you promoting that your company, your software package, your solution is the next cool thing? And if I just left Microsoft after a year or 10 years, I have value in the marketplace. So why am I going to come to your company? So that's what I try and help tech leaders find out is cool stuff you're building. Who knows about it? And how are you going to articulate that to that number one candidate that just left Amazon and is a high ticket item and has 3 other offers ready to go? How are you going to get them?
Yeah, so it kind of sounds like you're also saying that culture of the company is important for the new hire to even be attracted to that company in the first place.
Well, and you probably have maybe talked about this before, but culture is number one. Is it true? I mean, everyone can look at any of the job ads from LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter or any of the big guys and say, oh, we're this, and this. Then all you got to do is go to Glassdoor and say, is it true? Why is the position open? Why are there 2 or 3 positions open? And are we just beating our people to death, or we don't have enough workers, so everybody's working overtime? So come into the office and enjoy the camaraderie and all of the, culture that we have. But that's kind of the state of the world now. If we aren't taking care of them, then you hire me, because I'll come find them and I'll take them somewhere where they'll be appreciated.
What do you think about this? I always advise clients that are having like a tough time hiring. I advise them to set up some kind of, maybe use their own social media profile, but set up some kind of a way to celebrate the successes of their team and the cool projects they're working on, and kind of highlight those things instead of using social media as a look at me, here I am, let me pat myself on the head. How about here's my team and here's all the great things we do here and look how much fun we have. And it seems to work, but what do you think about that?
Oh, it's probably one of the number one or one of the tools you can use in regards to recruiting. It's awesome because you're literally wearing your culture on your sleeve. And if you don't do it just randomly, hey, we hit 100 customers or whatever, yeah, ring the bells. That's not it. But if it's a trend that this is a value that our company has, and this is why we want to post it, on not only our company page, but on all the socials, and let people really know, hey, we did something in regards to diversity. We did something in regards to helping out, the homeless. We did something, so something that's, strikes to what the new generation of employee, is all about. I want to work at a company that's doing something important, that's making a difference. And so doing those postings is going to enhance your presence in the marketplace and get you noticed. So when somebody does come to your website, they can say, oh, I didn't know you guys. Oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you guys did that. Now somebody, I don't have to go to Facebook. I don't have to go to Google. I don't have to go to Microsoft. I can go to this cool company that's doing stuff that matters. And I like what they're doing. It has substance.
Yeah, I don't want to offend you because I know it's a big job, but like when you hire somebody like yourself, you're basically hiring somebody who's an expert in marketing open job positions and finding matches for that. So, but I always feel like marketing in general, just across the board, is so like manipulative in a way. Like you can say whatever you want, but by posting these posts as they happen, hey, look, here's John. He just worked overnight trying to fix a critical bug that we had, and he discovered the bug, so I gave him 2 days off with pay, that kind of thing. If you can trumpet those kinds of like everyday things, then you're showing people what it's like to actually work at that company. And I love your Glassdoor comment, because I tell people, like, you might want to go check your Glassdoor profile and see what people are saying about you when they leave, because some of it doesn't look too good. And some of them are shocked. They never check it.
Yeah.
So what are some things that companies can do? You mentioned that like, DEI stuff is really big with candidates these days. And like, they want to work for a company that's doing something important for the world and for the community around them. What are some things that companies can do to attract good talent today?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, and no, you haven't offended me. You're going to have to try harder. So one of the first things is just what you said. When you said DEI, does the entire audience know what that means?
Well, they should. I've had two guests in a row that talk about
diversity,
DEI.
equity, and inclusion.
Right.
And so not everybody knows what that means. It's very popular to put that out, that's what
That's a great buzzword.
But here's what my answer is when somebody says, oh, we really got to get some diversity. I said, is your community diverse? Is where you work diverse? Is your state diverse? Trying to find diversity just to stick it into your company. Now you've done that candidate a disservice, because he doesn't have a peer group now. They don't have somebody that they can build and help that culture and build a community inside the company, because you're just picking, oh, look what we did for diversity. Yay, raise the flag. So what you want to do is walk the walk or walk the talk that you're putting out there. I've always said, hire the best talent. Now, I don't know, and can many of the skills that are on any job description, Mike, can any one person do every single one of them? No. You don't have enough money. Your laundry list is so long. But is there an opportunity where maybe you could train somebody in whatever skill set is? Yes, you want somebody to come in that understands your industry, but what would it look like if somebody came from outside of your industry to give you a fresh new look at, here's how I would handle that, because I've never heard of your company. I've never heard of the industry. here's what would be maybe a unique opportunity. And here's what I will tell you. Most of the clients that I talk to that haven't heard about me, and they know they've got a problem because they've got the new contract or they got the seed funding and they've got some, I got to get these people hired now. Well, first of all, they aren't experts. So any company that needs accounting help is going to bring in a CPA, right? Anybody that wants to get some of their procedures taken care of is going to get an HR expert. Some of them can't afford it. If you've got legal problems or you want to make sure your agreements are all sound, what do? You go get a lawyer, you get an expert. So that's what I do. And I come in and I say, hey, maybe you don't need to hire externally. Maybe that person that's been with you for 2 or 3 years is ready to move up. They know the company, they know the culture, they know what it is you produce. What they need is they need a new title change and they need to be rewarded for sticking around for the last 3 years. They need the next opportunity to grow. Maybe they don't have every single piece, but if they knew, hey, guess what? I'm going to get trained on being an XYZ analyst. And the parts that I don't know, my company's going to help me with, but they don't need to help the other part when you bring a new employee on of getting them oriented into the company. Does that make sense of some things that you might do?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and I actually, I'm always surprised when a client of mine, like they're a CTO, and why does their company have a CTO but not an HR director? It always shocks me. And then I say to them, well, if you don't have an HR director, so you don't have like your on-site expert, then you need to hire somebody who knows what they're doing to help you, because you're going to navigate that entire situation wrong. You're going to make the job offer in the incorrect way. There's a lot of things that you're going to do incorrectly. And I've always been a proponent of, in business, when you don't have that strength yourself, find somebody who does and hire them to help you. It's just that's a key thing. I mean, and I agree with you. I totally agree with you about the, doing it in a way that like, doing it in a way that like, what am I trying to say here? It has to be intentional. They have to, it can't just be we're hiring for this position, so we're going to check these boxes. Check 1, check 2, check 3. Because once that person comes on board, all those things you told them during the interview process, they're looking for, they're expecting it. I mean, I'm hearing a trend right now, and I want to see if you've heard this, of people advertising 100% fully remote positions. And then during the interview process, people are told, oh yeah, you can work 1 day a week offsite. I mean,
yeah, I don't know whether that is the norm, but it's happening. Absolutely. There is a lot of articles being written now about the new back to work, where we, need to justify the office building that we're renting. We have to justify how many seats and how much real estate we have, and that happens, but I don't think that's I haven't seen it, Mike, to be problematic where that's the bait and switch type of situation. And then just to dovetail on that part where you said, why is a CTO or why is a CEO out looking for talent? Well, that's great if it's in their network, or they can call Charlie and Charlie might be the guy for the job. My experience for 20 plus years tells me that why is the CEO at his salary and his value to the company out looking for talent, and is that their number one skill set? And what's it costing the company to have the CEO doing that? Is he bringing in new clients? Is he bringing in new revenue? Is he equipped to know where this talent lives? Whether it's a CTO, CEO, COO, any of your executive suite, when they're doing that, they're doing a disservice. Go manage your people. Go manage your company. Go take care of your series funding And so the folks that just gave you the money know what they're getting when they, when they gave you the money. They didn't invest in you to come be a recruiter or to come hire somebody. And the other thing, Mike, that I found is if a company is large enough to have a database or tracks their candidates and their employees, who knows how to use it? Are we looking at any of the talent that if Mike was the number one candidate for this job, who was number two or who was number three? Or what about that one that turned down the job because they had somebody at home and they had to take care of them and they were sick or whatever, and we couldn't get them? Where are all those people in your database? You may not necessarily need me, but if you don't know what you don't know, what are you doing to, raise the bar in regards to getting the next best person that's never heard of your company?
Well, that leads me to a question about, so say I'm looking to hire, say three developers. I'm looking for developer talent. What would a typical engagement with you look like for accomplishing that?
Oh, I love it. So are all three, I look at the whole organization. So who do they report to? Are they all the same level? Do we need a lead? Do we need somebody who's just going to be handling, some of the basic or maintenance type development that everyone loves? So what are the levels and what are they and why do they need? Three, what's our go-to market? When does the software get, completed, or what stage or whatever, that they've agreed to? So when we hire these people and they say, oh, you're going to work overtime because guess what? We sold a bill of goods and it's due December 30th and we're behind the 8 ball here on the third quarter. So it's so that's how I would take a look at the whole organization. Who are they going to report to? What are the real specifics? Do we have a lead? What's the architecture? Do they necessarily have to have A, B, C, D, and E? Are we migrating from any other software or architecture? Or so some of those. And then, is this, as you had mentioned, do they got to come in once a week, once a month, when are they having their scrum meeting? When are the deliverables? So I take a look at all three of those and say, do you want them all three at once? Or do you want one now and one in 2 weeks or one in a month, and get that person oriented? Because when you have three and then you send them out to the table and here's your computer and your laptop, have a nice day, and I need the first revision by Friday. Wow. So that's kind of crazy. So and it would tell Mike when I say that as a blanket sort of, that's
Sure.
kind of the process I might go through, not knowing the organization.
Right.
How have they hired in the past? Why are there 3 openings? A lot of whys. So I know when I find that, purple squirrel, they're going to be perfect because the company loves purple squirrels.
Yeah, no, it's funny too. I've had the opposite experience where I felt like a thief when I was working as a consultant for a while. I actually got hired I went for an interview at the Los Angeles Superior Court for this gig, and they were making me laugh because they literally had changed over all of their filings to be electronic, but they didn't have a way for the judge to read those filings electronically. So they had really messed up and made it so it was costing them a ton of money, because now they're printing all these things out for the judge rather than the lawyer turning in the printed copy. So like, hey, we need to create this paperless system. We can do that. It took them 6 months to move on it, and they never said why until they hired us. And they brought in a team of 3 on a Friday of all things. And I thought, wow, what a weird day to start. And they sat us down and there was no computers at the desk. And they said, I'm really sorry, but like, we had a grant and we would lose the money if we didn't have butts and seats by today. So that's why you're here. I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for telling us that. So what do we do? When are we getting a computer? Oh, it's going to be like 2 to 3 weeks. So just bring a book and you can read. We were charging these people $125 an hour, 8-hour days, so that they could have butts and seats and eat up probably a good chunk of their grant. But at least they explained what they wanted, right? Like it was the worst feeling. I remember telling my wife, like, I feel like I'm stealing their money. Like I'm here every day for 8 hours and I'm just reading a book. I mean, what the heck? It wasn't even like you were browsing the internet. There was no computer, none.
Yeah.
And we were in a dungeon underground too, like way underneath in LA. So your cell phone, it was useless. So you literally just read a book all day long. It was the strangest feeling.
Mike, it's funny you say that because there are many government contracts and I've done a lot of DOD and aerospace. And when they win the bid, they win so many billets. And here's how many butts I got to have in seats. And this is what and so whether they're going to get them a computer or whether they have to sit on the skiff or whether they can or they can't. Yeah, I get it. I get it. When they sold the bill for 90 positions, they need 90 butts in seats. And so for you, yeah, it's 3. And nobody told orientation or nobody told IT, nobody told anybody, hey, why don't we make them, almost busy when they walk in the door?
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting because I'm sure there were other things we could have been doing planning for the application. I mean, and ultimately, I think if I remember correctly, after about a week, we all got together and we walked over to the Starbucks in the morning and we were talking and like, this is getting ridiculous, like just sitting here. How about we go back and we go to a whiteboard and we map out how this thing's going to work and we can figure out what tools we're going to use, approximately how long it's going to take. And they were shocked when we finally put computers down, how fast we could get moving, because we planned things out, but no one directed us to do that. They were just lucky that they hired 3 people who had a lot of experience in the industry at the time. So, all right, what does the market look like right now for people who want to 100% remote work?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't think it's as high, obviously, as it was a year ago. And depending on what publications you're looking at, there is a small reduction in hiring that's taken place since June of this year and going forward. But there are, if the talent you seek is so exclusive, a data scientist with a PhD in 10 years, and they've got to have this and this and this, and they got to know your industry, and they say they want to work from home, my guess is you're probably going to let them because there aren't that many, so I think a lot of it would be skill set. A lot of it would be, I think companies want people to come in to the office a little bit and unfortunately, they want to kind of watch them, babysit them, make sure they're not just watching Netflix and having Cheetos at home. And so they want to see a little bit before they'll loosen the reins and say, yeah, you can do 3 days a week or 4 days from home, whatever. So there still is remote work. It's obvious. I would say, I think before the pandemic, it was probably 25%. Then during the pandemic, it got to be 80%. And now it's probably down to 40, 45.
So there has been an uptick.
Yeah, 45, 50. Yeah. So it's obviously the way a lot of people like to work. Companies know that we can do it and still produce. And so is that the marker that the company's going to use to either make the offer or not? That's what the company has to understand. And I understand there's some equity there and companies and people that have been with the company for a long time and are coming into the office. And why does the new guy get to work from home? That's an internal. You've got to come up with those rules before you go out and start making offers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can recall, when I was working as a CTO, I'd spend 1 day a week offsite. And it was mainly because of the interruptions in the office. That was literally why I'd do it. And then I had to have back surgery, and it was supposed to be like a 12-week recovery period, but I was allowed to work after a week, just couldn't drive in. And my boss at the time was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know. Let's try it. I got more done in those 12 weeks probably than I got the entire year
Yeah,
before done. And so
yeah,
we talked about it when I got back, and he ended up saying to me, you know what, work Monday and Friday off site. You get way more done when you do that. And then I wouldn't make it like a steadfast rule. I mean, if I needed to meet with some of my team members or whatever, I'd come into the office, but it was a nice like thing to have in your pocket. I think, but I totally agree with you. The best approach is bring that employee in, get to know them, see what their work ethic is like at the office, because what you see at the office isn't going to be what you're going to get at home. It's actually
yeah.
going to be less. There's more distractions at home in a sense for some people. And then see how they do. And if they're trustworthy, give them a day or two off site. I think for some people, it's becoming an important issue because it's expensive to live in the big cities. And so they want to live out in a rural area. And let's be real, driving an hour each way to work, most people don't want to do that.
Right.
So, and they're not going to move to the city and pay the expensive rental fees and whatnot. So it's just it's a good thing to offer to employees as a perk. But I'm with you. Like, you got to have a really well thought out plan and instructions on how it works. Otherwise, you're going to lose people because they're going to say, how come I don't get to do that? And there's some positions it just doesn't even work for.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's kind of interesting. So kind of one of my last few questions here is, what got you into specifically tech hiring?
Um, Gosh, that is a great question. I think for me, it was watching how it can revolutionize, how automation can revolutionize so many things that we do. So whether it's software and the ability to watch how brilliant the talent pool is. I mean, the people that can come in and figure out this. Oh, I'll have this figured out in no time. Those people are so fun and fascinating to talk to. And then I think the part that I was able to play was, okay, so I know so many developers, it's quite literally just get them pizza and slide it under the door. They shouldn't talk to humans. and of course there is that. But there are other companies where you do need to be able to communicate. Marketing keeps selling whatever it is they're selling. And the developers keep saying, well, we can't do that. It doesn't work that way. And so the ability to find not only tech talent, but that can, speak and chew gum and articulate thoughts and be part of, the bigger whole company. For me, that was it was fascinating because everybody said, oh, I don't know where we're going to find it. And I said, okay, challenge taken.
Challenge accepted.
So there's nothing that I love more, because what I find in technology and tech talent is they love solving problems. They hate micromanagement. They hate not well thought out plans. But they love to be able to solve the problems and just be heard, and they can do it so crazy good, and it benefits all of us, and we didn't even get into the whole AI story, but yeah, it's absolutely fascinating what these technologists can do. And I just went to a workshop a couple of weeks ago of what is being produced, not only for government, but for the future. Oh, hello, it's the Jetsons live. I mean, it's just the stuff that's being produced is crazy exciting for me to be able to go help these companies find these people.
Let's touch on AI real quick. Like, what types of AI positions are you seeing open up right now? What's the landscape look
Well,
like?
here's Mike, here's what your audience wants to know. Here's what I love to tell them. So obviously everybody knows ChatGPT is the coolest thing in the world this year. And the other side of it is it's going to take over the world. Well, I don't think so yet, but What I'm finding is people need to start coming into jobs knowing Chat GPT. It's a skill set that's being put on job requirements. The other thing that I'm finding for companies is when we're looking at data scientists and true AI and machine learning engineers, there are a lot of postings, but my question comes back to the CEO. What is it you're producing? What is your data set? Do you truly need a data scientist? Or how about you just get a couple of really good, strong developers and maybe some data analysts? Because, with the exception of a Microsoft or an Amazon or a LinkedIn, nobody has a big enough data set that needs, 5 data, scientists. They don't. What's the data? What are we trying to do with it? And I'm just trying to save you, a good data scientist, 250 plus. You want to start there, or do we want to look at, I can get you a good developer that wants to do this stuff, knows architecture, knows, so there are positions out there. How many are truly, and here's the other part that's going to be hard for your CEOs. If I don't have work that I promise this data scientist that he's going to get to work on, he isn't going to stay with me long. You're going to bore him just like you guys did in the basement. He's not going to have enough stuff to work on. He's not going to get to play with his neural networks. He's not going to do, whatever it is you said you needed him for. If that's truly not the case, and he's going to be bored and he'll be looking somewhere else.
That's really interesting. I love the data scientist thing, because it's another reason why you have to have the right person determining what positions are required, because the CEO, a lot of startups, they go real lean on their tech team and they don't have a true leader. They think they can handle it. And then they overspend on stuff like, because you're right. I mean, I can't think of a single position that I've held where I would have needed a data scientist. I mean, data analysts, sure, like tell me what they're seeing, sure, but a data scientist, that's like overkill. Like that's like taking a huge giant gun to a small little cap gun fight. It just doesn't make any sense. That's really, I mean, I always say too, though, like that's one of the things that people don't always understand is like, you have like, back when I was doing development, I'd always tell people, see the guy, he's the database administrator. Be careful talking to him, because he will lead you down a path you don't want to go on. Seriously, like they would tell me, oh, if you give me 2 more days, I can make this query return in 1 millisecond faster. And I'd say, it isn't worth 2 or 3 more days to get 1 millisecond. No one's going to notice 1 millisecond. Right. Oh, but I will. Well, but you're not the user. So we don't need to worry about that 1 millisecond, and like, they just think in a different way. And that's why they get paid what they get paid too, is they're just different.
Well, what I will tell you, Mike, is it's somewhat the analogy of a sports team. If this guy's got the cool new quarterback, or this guy's got the number 1 hitter, then I got to have one.
Yep.
So
yeah, no, it's so true. Well, this has been great. I've really enjoyed you talking to you and catching up. Why don't you let people know where they can find you if they want to reach out?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. They can find me certainly on LinkedIn, under Peter Hire, and it's Peter I Hire. Right. And then they could go to my website, which is conveniently right here. It's Hire Expectations. And then they could email me at peter@hireexpectations.com. Because, Mike, this is critical. When you're dealing with your number 1 asset, which is your people, you really should have higher expectations, shouldn't you?
You sure should. You sure should. And I mean, I will tell people, full transparency, Peter, I've known Peter for a couple of years now and met him through another person that I worked with for a little while. And literally, he's spoken at one of our events before. He always he's always on top of the trends. And you've seen that in this interview, and he knows what's going on. So if you're looking for help finding your talent, this is the guy to call for sure. I always point people in Peter's direction. So
Thank you, Michael.
but thanks so much for being on the show, Peter. And I'm just gonna,
Absolutely. What an honor.
all right. Well, thanks for tuning in to Gaining the Technology Leadership Edge. We hope you've had a great time with us, learning everything you need to know to stay ahead of the technology curve. Remember, be curious, be updated on all the latest trends, and show them who's the boss. Until next time, we'll be back with plenty more techie tips and tricks so you can stay on top of your game. See ya.